I lost a bet. Hello and welcome to Dialectable. My name's Joe and I'm making videos about accents and dialects of English. Now, I've already uploaded a video about some of the more common features found in dialect all across the UK, so you might want to watch that before you watch this video so you can understand some of the more technical terminology I'll be using. Otherwise, let's get started on my first video about a specific dialect. I thought I'd start with my home city, London, and a dialect that's only recently started to emerge. It's widely known as Jafaican for reasons I'll come back to in a moment, but the name linguists have given to it, and the name I'll be using in this video, is Multicultural London English, or MLE. It's important to note that not everybody in London speaks this way. I'm from London for a start, and you won't hear me using almost any of the features I'll be describing later in my speech, and the same goes for a lot of other Londoners. So who does speak MLE? Well, I'll remind you that the M stands for multicultural, because most of its speakers are from a pretty wide variety of ethnic minority backgrounds. I'm not going to try and list them all, but most commonly MLE speakers will be the children of immigrants from either the Indian subcontinent or the Caribbean, hence the nickname Jafaican or fake Jamaican. And as you might expect of people coming from a background of immigration from developing countries, their socio-economic status is more comparable to the working classes of Britain than the middle classes or the upper classes. Now, because in the UK people tend to separate more along class lines than racial ones, though they are linked, these ethnic minority children tend to be brought up around working class white children as well. This means that MLE is rapidly becoming the dialect of the white working classes in London too, which has led to linguists calling MLE a sociolect, that is, a dialect more defined by class than by geography. There's a TED talk by Paul Carswell that goes into more detail about exactly what happened linguistically during this period, but suffice it to say that elements of the phonology of both the Afro-Caribbean and Asian communities entered into young people's speech, along with a few innovations that took place post-migration. And the result of all this is modern-day multicultural London English. One thing I should say is that MLE is actually pushing out the Cockney accent that's been prevalent in London for decades. I'll talk a little bit more about this in my next video, but just walking around London today, you won't hear many Cockney accents from young people of any ethnicity. Simplifying a bit, they'll either speak something close to what you're hearing from me now, or you'll hear MLE. This is a change that actually began very recently. You get a clue to this with the fact that it's very hard to find an MLE speaker over the age of about 30 or so. Almost everyone who speaks it today is actually part of the first generation of speakers. And this generation has only started having children in the last decade or so, which makes the speed of its spread all the more remarkable. So let's get to it then. What does this dialect actually sound like? Well, three of the phonological features I mentioned in my first video are present in MLE. It's non-rhotic, meaning it has linking and intrusive R, I saw a ghost. It's from southern England, so it has the Bath trap split, so Bath, not Bath. It also has TH fronting, so Bath, not Bath. One defining feature of MLE is the vowels it uses. So instead of O, like in standard English, that's made much further back in the mouth, so it becomes O. So don't provoke folk becomes don't provoke folk. Another feature affecting the vowels is called, and I'm not kidding, extreme goose fronting. This means that when saying the vowel in goose, the tongue is positioned much further forward, extremely far forward in the mouth. So instead of goose, you have goose. You hear the difference? Goose, 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 goose. As I said, the tongue is pushed a lot further forward in the mouth, which gives linguists the excuse of giving such a brilliantly ridiculous name to a fairly minor sound shift. Another phonological feature is called T-glottalization, meaning that between vowels, the T sound, T, is replaced with a glottal stop. So where I'd say water and butter, an MLE speaker might say water and butter. Another one is L vocalization, which is actually something I do on occasion. So when there's an L at the end of a syllable, it'll take on an oo sound instead. For example, instead of the standard English, the owl flew at altitude over the tall buildings, you'll get something like the owl flew at altitude over the tall buildings. There are grammatical differences between MLE and standard English too. One of the biggest is probably the way MLE treats the past tense of the verb to be. In standard English you'd say I was, but you were, we were, and they were. In MLE something very different happens. All of the positive versions take was, and all of the negative versions take were. So you can have the sentence I weren't there, but you was, which is actually completely reversed from standard English.
I don't know, I weren't there, right? You was there, I weren't there.
And finally, you can't talk about MLE without talking about the word in it, which actually came about as a contraction of isn't it, but has now taken on a subtly different meaning, in that it can both ask for and give approval. So you can say, you're an Arsenal fan, innit? Or you can say, Arsenal doing rubbish at the moment, innit? Of course, what I've talked about today isn't a comprehensive list of every feature of MLE, but I hope I've at least given you a taste of what it sounds like. Next time, I'll be talking about the dialect that MLE replaced, Cockney. I'll see you then.